Hello, dear friend, and welcome to your monthly astrology horoscope for June 2020. I'm recording outside, so you might hear occasionally a bird or something else, and it's possible that it might start raining, but I decided why not try this type of format. And of course, as always, we are going to talk about the most important key events during June, and trust me, this one will be a big one. We are having a conjunction between Jupiter and Pluto, and this is one of the major aspects of the year. It's happening 3 times, and this month we have the second time. Also, Venus is retrograde most of the month, but will turn direct on the 25th, and also Mercury is turning retrograde first of all. We are also having 2 eclipses, first lunar and then a solar eclipse. And also Mars is ingressing Aries. And this is also a significant transit because first of all, Mars will be in Aries until the end of the year, the very end. So how much is that? Around 6 months. And Mars will be retrograde later on around September, October, and November, again in Aries. So we are going to talk about it, and this is going to be a big one as well. So first of all, with Venus being retrograde most of the month, make sure to be careful when it comes to relationships and partnerships. We don't recommend signing contracts with new partners or getting married even in the area of relationships. Things may not be that simple, and you may notice that it's kind of like, the harmony is not there as much as we want it to be, and there might be some misunderstandings in relationships, and also we might restart old relationships. It's a great time to reevaluate this area, your personal life, and make some changes. After the 25th of June, Venus is turning direct. So it means that around the end of the month, things in terms of relationships will possibly go back to normal. So that's about Venus. And there will be a period, so around 10 days, during which we are going to have both Venus and Mercury retrograde. And actually, this happened the last time when Venus was retrograde as well in 2018. Again, they overlapped, Venus and Mercury both retrograde. So we have to be more cautious approximately between the 15th and the 25th of the month because both Venus and Mercury will be retrograde. And what that means is that there might be challenges in the area of communication, mutual understanding. Overall, the harmony might be something we are going to need more than ever. And on the other side, it's really a nice time to reconsider things, to reevaluate things, and to restart old projects or activities that we have been focused in the past. And in the current situation, it may mean that, we are all gonna go back to normal, or at least we are gonna try to do that and really make some changes. That's what the retrograde period requires from us. Also, lunar and solar eclipses, they are a pivotal transformative period, again very positive for reevaluations, especially the first one, which is the lunar eclipse, is very beneficial for letting go of old things that are no longer needed in your life, no longer helpful, that don't serve you anymore. Don't keep them in your life just by habit. Instead, try to free the space for the new things to come. And then the solar eclipse is very interesting because it will trigger the North Node. The sun and the moon will be in conjunction with the North Node, which means a new beginning. Time to focus on new goals, time to restart generally. And I also think that's something we would all appreciate right now. And as we said, finally, Mars ingressing Aries, the sign of its rulership. So Mars will be very powerful. It happens around the end of the month, I should say, but still we have to be prepared for that because things that are about to happen, or areas that we are going to be focused on, or projects we are going to work on in the next 2 months, basically during the summer. Later on, around the autumn, we may change them, or we may reconsider them, or something might be different from what we are expecting, because again, as I said, Mars is turning retrograde around the 9th of September, I believe. Okay, so that's just the general picture. Let's jump into each of the astrology events during the month so that you can really plan it in the best possible way. And also, let me remind you that you can sign up for my free webinar on how to create a psychological profile with astrology. The links are below. Don't forget also to use the free astrology calculator to calculate your horoscope. Again, links below. So we are starting on the 2nd of June with the square between Venus retrograde and Mars. So possible challenges when it comes to relationships, romance, or communication between men and women. There might be more tension, there might be some confrontations or even jealousy, or overall we may notice that it's not so easy to follow through and really commit to our desires, or there are certain blockages, so we are not really able to do everything that we want, which can create some kind of frustration or some kind of impatience. And overall, it's time also to put some effort and make changes, especially when it comes to personal area stuff, when it comes to negotiations. Again, let me remind you, Venus is retrograde, so a nice period to reevaluate the past and maybe cut off something or someone out of your life. Of course, we are talking about things or relationships that are not healthy or not helpful for you. After that, on the 3rd of June, we have an exciting conjunction between the Sun and the Venus retrograde in Gemini. So, of course, this is a big one for the air signs, Gemini, also for Libra and Aquarius. This might bring some benefits, but make sure to be cautious, because those are the aspects which can make us kind of overreact a little bit or be more emotional than necessary. What saves us here is that Venus is in Gemini, which is a mental sign. So probably we won't dramatize too much, but we just can be more sensitive and may take things a little bit more personal. So another thing that we also can do is to restart different relationships. And in the love area, in romantic area, things might be quite intense. Then on the 5th of June, we have the first eclipse. This would be the lunar eclipse in Sagittarius and Gemini. The south node is in Sagittarius, the north one is Gemini. So what that means is that it's a great time to let go of beliefs that we cannot use anymore or which are no longer relevant, and overall to work on our own philosophy, to change our way of thinking. Great time also to concentrate on knowledge and wisdom overall. Of course, with the lunar nodes in Gemini and Sagittarius, this is a major theme for the whole year. And instead, we need to focus on more practical things. The North Node with the Sun are in Gemini. So focus on being present, being rational, being practical, and learning more concrete practical skills as well. A great time to just set yourself free from things that you don't need. One of the best things you can do, throw away each day for 10 days, at least 10 material stuff that you no longer use. Those could be clothes, basically anything in your kitchen, in your bedroom, everywhere at home. Throw away the things that you don't use anymore. You are opening up the space for new things to come, and that's always something positive, especially when we have eclipses. Also, there is a very positive aspect that will support this eclipse, and this is the sextile between Mercury and Uranus. Some exciting ideas, some new ideas might come up on the horizon, or we might be more original, and overall there could be some nice surprises. About the full moon and the lunar eclipse, I just want to add here that Mars and Neptune are squaring the full moon and the lunar eclipse. So it means that we may need to let go of some ideas that are just not realistic, some things that are inapplicable or impossible, and instead try to focus on what we can take action on, what we can do, and overall be more proactive. Then we get to the 6th of June, and we have exact square between the Sun and Mars. Time to focus on our desires and maybe change something about the way we take action or what we are focusing on, especially when it comes to practical things and concrete tasks. Also, this is an aspect which may bring possible tension or even confrontations or more impatience. So make sure to be more careful, to check things twice, not to overreact, not to rush things, and of course, make sure to be careful how you treat other people as well. Then we get to the 11th of June with another challenging aspect, the Sun in Gemini with Neptune in Pisces. This aspect means that we need to let go of certain unrealistic ideas, something which is no longer relevant. And this might be kind of painful because Neptune is about our dreams, things that are very dear to our heart. And we may realize that, well, some of those things are not okay, or it's just not the right time for them. So make sure to be more grounded and more practical and in touch with reality, and open your eyes for the truth. The truth, even when it's painful, is better than the beautiful lies or the impossible expectations. So make sure to be open for the wisdom, for your intuition to guide you, and remember to stay grounded. A spiritual practice on this day can always help you to handle better with this Neptune energy. After that, we have even more Neptune energy on the 13th with the exact conjunction between Mars and Neptune in Pisces. So Neptune rules here because Neptune is the ruler of Pisces. And this is a time when from one side, we might feel very inspired. We may feel emotionally attached to what we want to do. And also we can be more creative, we can be more intuitive. It's a great time for some spiritual practices, for healing, for helping other people. But there's always a risk whenever we talk about Neptune. And the risk is that, again, we can be totally, detached from reality. We may fantasize or try to do something which is just kind of inadequate. Sometimes that happens with Neptune. We can make some mistakes, or we can be confused, or it's just a messy situation sometimes. So whatever you want to do, make sure to check with reality, to check for some mistakes or things that you haven't really noticed or evaluated properly. And also, this is a transit which sometimes can make us more passive. So if you feel like you don't really want to work hard, or you just need some time to take a rest, by all means do that. A meditation or a yoga practice can always help you to channel this energy and release it in a constructive way. After that, on the 18th of June, again Mars in Pisces, but this time having a positive aspect with Pluto. So it's about empowerment, it's about confidence, it's about taking action, especially on things that you are very excited about, or things that will change your life or will have an impact for other people. At the same time, Mercury is turning retrograde, so make sure to write this date down, and especially about the shift. So around the 18th, things might be kind of messy. Be careful with information, with technical stuff, contracts, if possible, should not be signed if they are very important. Try not to start a new job if you want this to last for a long time. And just make sure to reevaluate things, to check for possible mistakes. And instead, what you can do is restart communication or friendships with other people, dive deeper into your own desires or expectations, because Mercury will be retrograde in Cancer. And this is the sign about our emotions related to our personal life, connections with family members. So it's a nice time to also slow down a little bit and reevaluate things. As always, Mercury will be retrograde for 3 weeks. So until the end of June, all of that will be true. On the 20th of June, the sun will ingress Cancer. So overall, the atmosphere changes. We may notice that we are more sensitive, that we are more gentle, we are more compassionate with people. And also, it's a great time to spend more time with the people we love, with our family members, and overall to focus on our emotional needs, to nurture our emotional needs. On this very day, the 20th, also Mars is having an amazing aspect with Jupiter. Great time, which can help us to be more inspired to do something. And even though Mercury is retrograde, it doesn't mean that everything should stop. We can still do meaningful things as long as we are careful with the details, and especially if they are not brand new. For restarting old projects, it's a great time. So this Mars-Jupiter aspect can increase our optimism, our productivity, our ambition, and can bring us some success. The 21st of June, also a big day with the solar eclipse in Cancer. On the very first degree, the sun and the moon are joining each other, but the North Node is at the very end of Gemini. But it's still a solar eclipse, which means a brand new beginning, a karmic period when some deep transformations may happen. We are talking also about the inner experiences. It's a great time for some spiritual work, for, as we said, paying attention to your own needs, working with the inner child, and overall focusing on something for the future. Because the North Node shows the right direction for us, where we can grow and where we can go in the future. So use this time to define what is it that you want to focus on in your life. What do you want to transform? And use this time also for connection with your inner wisdom. On the 23rd of June, we have Neptune turning retrograde. So around this day, make sure to be careful with details or things that require more concentration, because with Neptune stationary and Mercury and Venus retrograde, it can get really messy, especially with small details and tasks and information. Venus, by the way, is also getting stationary at this point, because on the 25th, it will shift its direction. So it's a very tricky period. Neptune stationary, Venus stationary in Gemini, and Mercury retrograde. Be very careful with details, with information, and if possible, really pay more attention to your inner world, to your inner experiences, to your desires and your personal goals. Great time for visualization, for spiritual work, and also for healing. Then on the 25th, as we already said it a couple of times, finally Venus goes direct. So Around this day, Venus is stationary, so we still need to be careful with love, with romance, with partnerships and relationships. But after that, things go back to normal. So in relationships, things can improve. We can start, initiating new partnerships, or overall the communication can be more harmonious. And also in the following weeks, we can change or reconsider or reevaluate some of the things that have happened during Venus retrograde period, which would mean June and also the last half of May. Whatever you have done or planned at that time might be changed in a way. On the 27th, Mars moving to Aries, a big one because Mars is coming back home. Mars is very strong in Aries. That's the most comfortable position for Mars. And overall, it can make us braver, more courageous, more action-oriented. And overall, it increases the productivity. With Mars, we always have to consider also the possibility that we can be a little bit more impatient, or sometimes we may rush things like, we want to have it right here, right now. But if you're able to channel this energy, you can do a lot of things and hopefully they will be meaningful. Again, I'm repeating, Mars will be in Aries until the very end of 2020. Some of the time it will be retrograde, so quite a significant transit. And on the 28th of June, Mars is having a positive aspect with Saturn, which is a great aspect for productivity, for more discipline, for organizing, structuring things, taking action, but in a very practical and reasonable way. Saturn here helps a lot Mars, because Mars sometimes can be all over the place, doing something just for the idea or just because. With Saturn, we are going to ask ourselves, okay, so what's the outcome here I want to have, or what's the point, or how can I do this in the most efficient way? These are things that Saturn really likes. And finally, on the 30th of June, we have this big conjunction between Jupiter and Pluto. Major transformations, big changes might come up on, on a social level. And personally, this also can be a time for very deep transformation of philosophy, transformation of our whole worldview. So, of course, the bigger question here is, where is this conjunction falling in your chart? And that's a question that only you can answer. But it's overall an opportunity for us to be extra motivated to grow, to transform, and to get more wisdom. The other aspects we have are a positive aspect between Mercury retrograde and Uranus. So possible new ideas, or that actually new old ideas with Mercury retrograde, but there can still be more productivity, more excitement, desire to make a change, or ability to think out of the box. So listen to your own inner wisdom. The Sun is there as well in exact conjunction with Mercury. So it's all about listening to your inner wisdom, to your intuition, to your inner wiser self. So with that, we covered the prediction for next month. Thank you so much for watching this presentation. And don't forget, if you want to get the free webinar on how to create a psychological profile with astrology, links are below. Also, if you want to go deep in astrology, make sure to sign up for Mars Stars Astrology Academy. Now the wait list is available. You cannot enroll because enrollment opens only once a year and you don't want to miss it. So thank you very much. As always, it was a great pleasure for me, and I'll see you really soon.